Hey everyone, Mike here with the Astro Explorers. I hope y'all have all been doing well. Now that it's been getting a little cooler and it's a little darker earlier, I've been making it a point to come out to the observatory and start trying to enjoy the night sky again. I know it's been a little while since I myself have been able to do it, but I did start getting back into it and just pointing the telescope in not quite random directions, but very specific directions so that I can see what's out there. I've been enjoying a couple of the favorites that I had looked at back in the past, just trying to get back into the routine of using the telescope and the tools that are needed in order to do so. So I spent last week just kind of getting the guide scope working again, getting it refocused, all those items that just allow you to do astrophotography. So one of the things that I wanted to go over tonight is just how is it that I actually find my target for the night? And the way I do that is by using Telescopius.com. I also use my cell phone, but really it's Telescopius that gives me the tools that I need to be able to see what's out there. And what I wanted to do is just kind of give you a little glimpse at what it is that I do to find those targets in the night sky, plug in that target, and then go to it and get an image. So if you stick around with me, we'll go ahead and take a look at that and walk you through the process of how to find a target with Telescopius that's best for your viewing area, and let you see what's out there in the night sky with your telescope. Okay, so here we are in Telescopius, and like I said, it is Telescopius.com, and I'll have a link for you in the description below. But when you go into Telescopius, it'll often ask you to provide a location. And my location is already set up, but you can always add a frequent location, use your current location, edit it manually. So there's tools here so that you're able to get to your location. And then if you put in the proper date, it'll show when daylight is, kind of those mid hours between daylight and actual night, your night, and then sunrise again. One of the also handy things is it shows you what the clouds are like in your area and the seeing. So you can see, you know, I'm actually got no cloud cover. I can also just look up in the sky and see that, but it kind of gives me an idea of what to look forward to for the rest of the week as well. It also shows me tonight's a terrible night for telescoping because we're getting close to the full moon, and you can see how large the moon here is. But that's okay because I'm just coming out, taking some pictures, and having a fun time. So with that, you do have the option of trying to pick a target that you want to go for. It might be, you know, something that your telescope's currently set up with the filter that you have, or maybe you're just looking for something and don't have an idea of what's out there. So what I like to do is I'll usually just click through each of these, see what's best seen tonight, and it'll bring up a list of different galaxies that are available to be seen, and you can see here the actual transit times. So this line right here represents the object being above 30 degrees in the night sky. And then this line right here is midnight. I really wish this line showed you what time the current time was, but it doesn't. If anyone knows how to set that, that'd be great. Just leave it in the comments, because I always get confused and think, oh, right now is the good time to view, or it's a terrible time to view. But you can see just what that path of the object is. So right now it's about 10 o'clock. I can go to about 10 o'clock and see this object's actually pretty good. So say I wanted to look at this galaxy. I'd go ahead and click it. You can see it's pretty small, but one of the nice things is I can see what it might look like with my telescope. So if I scroll down, you'll see it's actually pretty small. And the way I know that is I've put my telescope settings in, so it knows that I've got a 8SE, we've got the focal length, and it can see that I'm using a focal reducer. Now I can tell it I'm not using a focal reducer, and you'll see that it zooms in slightly on the galaxy. But this galaxy's pretty small for my telescope, and I'm not going to get a very good image from it. So if I go back, one of the things that I can do is I can tell it I would like to have larger objects in the sky. So right now the minimum is 1 arc minute. What if we went to 5 arc minutes? What does that give me? Now you can see that's going to put some on here that show no, that it's unknown, and you can scroll down and say you don't want to view unknowns, and that'll take that away. But now I've got a couple new options. So I've got Barnard's Galaxy, I've got the Fireworks Galaxy, and if I click these, you can see 10 o'clock is basically peak time to try to capture the Fireworks Galaxy. And if I scroll down, this is what the Firework Galaxy would look like in my telescope viewing area. Now, I don't have a good filter, or I've got the wrong filter in right now for viewing galaxies. Otherwise, I'd do this one. But I'm not going to show this one just because if I try to capture it right now, I won't get very good imaging. So let's see what else there is. So I can go back to deep sky. We still have our galaxies here, but I can change this to, say, emission nebula or open clusters. Or if you just want to clear them out, you can click right here. It clears out the object type. And maybe what I want to do is look at what's popular. So now we've got Orion, we've got the Horsehead, the Marans, but as you can see, all these are coming up after midnight. So these aren't very good targets for me right now, especially if I want to just take a picture while I'm sitting here. So I can go to visibility. I'm looking at after sunset, and honestly, what I probably want to do is put after astronomical sunset, and then maybe I want to have it viewable by, say, 11. Now that's narrowed this down quite a bit. So it got rid of those objects that I won't be able to see. And, well, let's see here. 10 o'clock. Heart Nebula is not in a great spot, but here's what I want to show you. If I look at the Heart Nebula, it looks beautiful. I scroll down. I've got the image in my telescope, or my telescope settings here. This is what I can see of the Heart Nebula. Now, that does not look like what I'm seeing here. And the reason is the Heart Nebula, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the focal reducer and just go to 232 millimeters. The Heart Nebula is a very large nebula, and my telescope's just simply too powerful for that. So yes, I could shoot it, but I would only be able to shoot a very small portion of it. And one of the things you can do, if that's what you'd like to do, is you can kind of move around and find a focus point in here and see if there's an area that you'd like to shoot. But I don't want to shoot the Heart Nebula. Let's see what else is there. We can look at the North American Nebula. And again, the North American Nebula is a very large nebula. So this one might not be a great target for me simply because it is so large. But you can see how by using Telescopius, I'm able to take a look and see these nebulas before I actually try to get into them. And you can also see here where the apparent size is showing as 13 minutes or arc minutes. So it's giving you an idea of just how big some of these items are. The Pinwheel Galaxy. This one is disappearing on me real quick, so I'm not going to be able to see it very well. And let's keep going. We've got the Crescent Nebula. Let's take a look at this one and see what it might look like on my telescope. Well, that actually looks like it might be a good option. So it is just after 10 o'clock, so it's basically at peak altitude. And you know what? Let's go ahead and see what it might look like on my telescope. So I'm going to go ahead, copy the name, NGC 6888. I'm going to go over to n.i.n.a, Sky Atlas. I'm going to paste it in, search for it. One of the things I can do is I can choose it to set for framing assistance if I want to try to capture a part of it. I'm not sure I need to do that right now, so I'm going to go ahead and tell it to slew to the target. So it's slewed. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the guiding. As you can see, all I'm getting is streaking stars at the moment, so we don't need that on, especially when we're trying to plate solve. I'm going to come into n.i.n.a, click on imaging, and go back to plate solve. So now it's going to run a 8-second exposure just to try to find the stars in the sky, and then it's going to see if we are on target or not. And you can see part of it here. We're not quite on target, so it's going to settle for a couple seconds, and then it's going to do another 8-second exposure. And we are on target, and you can see clearly just with those 8 seconds that we can see part of that nebula. And if we go back to looking at it here on screen, you can see that it's about the same size as what we are seeing on the monitor here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to run a 2.5-minute exposure real quick and see what kind of detail I can get out of it. But before I do, I'm going to turn on guiding. I'll start looping the camera, tell it to auto select the stars, and then start guiding. So now that it says it's guiding, and I can see a little bit of movement over here, I will go ahead and start this exposure and see what it comes with it, and see what it comes up with here in a moment. Okay, so we've got about 10 seconds left in that exposure, and here any moment now you'll see the new image pop up, and we'll see how well it comes out. Oh, very nice. So this is the exposure that we got just from 2.5 minutes. And you can see I need to do some flats and darks, and if I were to stack the image with those, that would help flatten it out, get rid of some of the dust that's popping in, and also get rid of a little bit of that light coming in from the camera. But otherwise, I mean, this gives a great idea of what you might expect to see on camera. And just looking at it and then looking at what we got from Telescopius, we're also able to see just how well it lines up with what we were able to see on the camera, or see what we captured on the camera versus what we see in Telescopius. So by being able to use a tool like this, we're able to easily find a target for the night that's in a good location in the night sky and a good size for the type of telescope that we have. If we wanted to find one more, we could scroll down to, say, the Eastern Veil Nebula, and this one is a very pretty nebula. Again, it's about 10:20 at the moment, so we're right about peak. Let's see what it looks like. Now, looking at my telescope, we can only see a part of it here. And that is about probably this section here. So if we were to scroll down, yep, so I can only capture about half of this nebula. But knowing that I can capture half, I still might be able to get a nice, interesting photo. So what I can do again is just get the name, go back to n.i.n.a, come over to the Sky Atlas. I'm going to paste it in and search for it. This time though, I'm going to go to Set for Framing Assistant. And in Framing Assistant, you can see that I've already looked at this one once or twice. And my telescope is actually rotated. Now the reason it's rotated is because my camera is not 100% aligned, you know, just left and right, top to bottom. And the way I know what its alignment is under imaging, under rotation, it says 77%. I know it's not showing it at the moment, but that's what it'll show here on rotation. And let me see if I can drag that over some. There it goes. So 77%. So when I do my plate solving, it actually tells me how much the camera is rotated. So if I come back over to framing, choose 77%, now I know how much the telescope's spinning, and wherever I put this box is going to be how my telescope aligns to the object. So what I want to do is go ahead and get this section here, and I'm going to tell it to slew and center to it. So my telescope's going to move in that direction. It's going to try to find it. Right now it's saying it's not inside the tolerance, so it's going to move again a little, and now it's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the guider. I'm just going to stop it, tell it to pick up fresh stars, and start guiding again as well. And I'll get a little error because I stopped it. But now if I come over to imaging, you can see what looks like a little portion of it off those 8 seconds. And I'm going to go ahead and get another 2.5 minute frame, and we'll just see how it looks and see if it's capturing what I want. Alright, we're about 15 seconds or so in from this exposure being completed. So here in just a moment, we'll see what that 2.5 minute exposure looks like, and we should get some nice bright colors popping in all just miraculously. And there we go, there it is. So you can see now we have captured the image here of what we saw when we were searching on Telescopius. So we were looking to capture this portion of it. When we go back to n.i.n.a, you can see we did, and we were able to do so by lining it up with the framing assistant. So with these items, we are easily able to come in, see what's good for us to look at in the evening when we come out. Oh, Eagle Nebula. Let's see if we can do M16 real quick. So here we have the Eagle Nebula. That's the Pillars of Eternity. And as you can see, it fits pretty well in the telescope. If we were not using the Barlow, we'd get a pretty good shot there of the Pillars of Eternity. We still do, and we're not quite small enough to capture the entire nebula. As you can see, if we're about half the size, we would be able to get that entire nebula, but that's not what we have. So if we just pull up M16, and I'll do this one real quick. Alright, this one should be popping up here in just a second. And there we go. So we've got the Eagle Nebula with the Pillars of Eternity, which most people recognize from that famous NASA photo. And I mean, I can't quite do it justice, but it is still very, very fun to be able to see and know that I'm capturing it with my telescope from my backyard. So I hope you don't mind the little distraction there as I was wrapping up the video. But I mean, it's just nice being able to come out again and see what's out there in the night sky. Alright, so like I was saying, it's just really nice to be able to come outside again before it's too late. Now that the weather's cooling down some, it's not midnight by the time it's dark, and just enjoy the night sky again. It's been a really long time since I've been able to do this, and I plan to start doing this much more often, and as I can, I'll be making more videos and sharing my experience along the way with any tidbits that I'm able to find. So with that being said, it's Mike with the Astro Explorers calling it a night. Until next time, keep your eyes on the sky and happy stargazing.